That's totally fair, and I totally respect that, absolutely. What is up, YouTube? It has been a minute since we have recorded a vlog, and today's vlog is going to be kind of in the middle of before we officially launch season 2. We may decide to put this as part of season 2. We're now January 2020. Welcome to 2020. We had an interesting week last 2 weeks, an interesting couple weeks into the beginning of January because we've had clients in town shooting a lot of content. Mig spent pretty much most of last week with Chase, one of our clients, shooting his entire new program, which eventually you guys will see throughout the process. But today is a full-on day. I've got client fires to deal with. I've got sales calls to deal with. I've got onboarding of new media buyers I want to come on to deal with. I have referral partners, and I got to shoot some content and more sales calls, and then our team call right at the end. That is just the next 8 hours of my day. So Migs is going to pretty much pop in, pop out, and kind of catch the content of what's going to happen. I kind of want to show you behind the scenes. We've shown you a lot of the good. We've shown you some of the bad. We're going to show you some of how we deal with stuff when we genuinely make a mistake. And we have made some mistakes with this current client that we're going to go on, and we're going to clean it out right now.
Our costs, in my mind, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm not, because this is what you've been telling me is, well, the costs are going to come down. Well, Houston, we're running the same as what we ran in the middle of the year, so we should see that coming in less. Where my head's at, we should be under $40. Are we going to get that for every campaign? No. So I think $45 is a good number.
We got to factor too how much we're spending for it, because for example, I'm looking at your Tampa campaign right now. For Houston, for example, we're spending a lot.
Hey, I got another media buyer. I'm just trying to get I got to see what my show up rates are, et cetera, right? There's a lot of moving parts to this. You guys understand that. I want my cost per acquisition as low as possible. I expressed to you really kind of my biggest frustration with all this. I'm not saying that you guys haven't done anything, but it seemed like it was all hands on deck once I got another media buyer. I'm just telling you my perspective, my perception of it is okay, shit, we might lose the account. So now let's figure this out.
I totally see where you're coming from and where it looks like, okay, we jump all hands on deck on this, but before you even added this guy to the account back in the beginning of December, I tried to reach out to you based on conversations that we had with Facebook, and given that it was the beginning of December, holiday season, whatever you want to call it, that it is what it is. And it kind of brought up to you what the Facebook rep even told us about potentially what your account could be in. It kind of just went on deaf ears, and then and that's my perception. And
yeah, hold pause right there, because that is your perception.
Yeah.
First of all, what was explained to me was not that it came directly from the Facebook rep. It's, hey, this is not policy compliant. Of course, I communicated. Well, I guess not. Of course, she didn't know that. I need to be on that. I need to be on that call. This is my fucking account. I don't want to hear the.
Okay, I just gotta jump on a quick call with Mike, and then I'll call you. All right, perfect. All right, you guys. Hey, thank you.
No worries.
Thanks for taking the time and extending past your 10-15 time limit. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it's all right. This is important. So thanks, guys.
Cheers. Well, as you just saw parts of that call, we're not going to put the whole thing due to some personal information in there. You go ahead, end up in a situation sometimes when clients have expectations that want to be here, but it's you just kind of got to educate them. It's hey, you want your costs down a lot of the times, depending on what costs are, acquisition costs and stuff like that. Due to the ever-changing market of the digital world and what we're working on, most of the clients kind of have an infatuation towards it, and you just kind of have to bring them back. And a lot of the times that I see agency owners shooting themselves in the foot is because they over-promise, under-deliver. With this exact client that we were just talking to, in the last 12 months since we took them on as a client, they were weeks away from being shut. To last year would have done around $6 million in revenue. And we, due to Q4 and things like that, in its nature, there was some, what's the word I'm looking for? Their expectations weren't fully aligned, and hence the reason why it looked like they wanted to blame us for things, but it's we just had to break it down. And a lot of times when you're dealing with this stuff, you have to just take responsibility because you are managing it for them, and then just kind of black and white explain to them how systems work. As long as there's a understanding and you can logically break it down, most people and most clients will actually accept what's going on. And that's pretty much what you do. You know, part of the world we're in a service-based business. You got to kind of make your clients happy a little bit, but you also have to make sure that you have your back, because if you aren't having your back, they aren't looking at you like an authority. So make sure you're doing what's correct for you and for the client's company, no matter how emotional the client may get at times. So that's kind of what that call was about. Moving into the next call is going to be with a potential media buyer that was looking at coming to work with us at GrowRev. Kind of toyed with hiring a couple more over the next quarter to two. So I'm just kind of winding down our final candidates for what we could potentially bring on, get them ready, get them scaled up for March, April, probably April, May-ish, and bring them on then. So that's kind of, you gotta plant the seeds now, gotta train them up so that they're ready to go for when we're ready to scale. Because a lot of what we're doing in Q1 right now is a lot of scale related, growth related stuff, so that the team currently can get used to what's coming and then add on to top of that. So that's kind of the call after that. But looking forward to the rest of these calls. Right now I've got about 30 minutes. I'm gonna try and catch up with this thing called my email. That is also known as the death of me sometimes, because every single morning I wake up and there's like 50 to 60 new emails that I got to go through, try and catch up on it before I get behind. So look forward to seeing you in the next call. How was the holidays and New Year?
Good. Yeah, really good. I had a lot of time to kind of just reevaluate my year.
Last week, about the weekend before, I sent him to a big traffic event in Jamaica. And a lot of it started to shift back to the Google days. Like when me and him got started in the industry, Google search was like shooting fish in a barrel. And then it kind of transitioned into Facebook, and then now Facebook's what it's at. But Google's starting to go back to those good days of, you know, reach, because it's like, it's search traffic, and high intent traffic is the best traffic you can ever buy. Video, I like it a lot because you can build a relationship quicker, and your conversions are much long tail if they have that relationship with you. Facebook's always going to be there. Like, we can't deny how good of a platform Facebook is, but it just can be an absolute fucking see you next Tuesday when you're trying to scale. Whereas if with Google, when you do get scale, it's like just keep doubling zeros at the end of it. You're gonna get that scale as long as there's inventory. That's what I like about it.
Where's the shift there? Like, what is it about Google that allows you to do that compared to Facebook?
Google allows you to do that because it's just based on search. So it's like they will spend your stupid amount of money if you just give them like an abnormally huge budget for no bloody reason. But if you're spending $1,000 a day to go to $1,500 a day, you can just literally go from $1,000 to $1,500 and you're totally fine. Should you incrementally increase 10% of the time? Yes, absolutely. Whereas Facebook, you have to be very, very tactical on taking from $1,000 to $1,500 to $3,000 to $5,000 a day. Like, we've got a campaign right now that we're scaling to we've got it to about 15K a day right now, and they want to go to about 30K. And that's a different world. Like, that's a whole different world. On Facebook, yeah.
15K a day?
15K a day we're spending for one of our clients right now. Yeah, it's an application funnel. And they want to get to 30K a day. To be fair, like 30K a day won't even come probably till Q2. It all comes down to correlation of costs. If they want to keep costs at the same level, it's going to take time. If they don't care if costs going through the roof, they just want numbers, then we just, can do it in about 30 days. Like, I'm going to record a video today for YouTube breaking down the 5 top things that I see for 2020 in terms of paid advertising. And that's one of them, is going back to the good old days of search, going back to the good old days of understanding true direct response. Facebook ruined direct response, in my opinion. It just made it so, and especially when Facebook was so good, we had all the interest targeting and shit. You could have a monkey just clicking buttons. Like, that's where I think it's coming through, and doing direct response through sales and video is going to be massive.
What do you see as like a place where it's like, wow, this could be really, really helpful. This is someone I need on my team in this area.
Where we're at, in complete honesty, like our head media buyers. So we've got Matt, who runs all of the accounts, and then we've got Rob and Vaughn and a couple of guys underneath them. They're very, very close to hitting capacity in terms of accounts. So what I'm potentially looking at is, if we scale the agency, in which we're going to do this Q1, is as soon as we hit a point where it's like, I'm noticing that the guys are dropping the ball, I'm going to pull accounts off of them, but we're going to need someone to come in and take over those accounts. Facebook-wise, yeah, initially.
And that's what I know.
Yeah, and that's what you know. And then from there, transition and scale into whether it's like learning YouTube. If you want to learn YouTube on our dime, like I've told you in the past, with Digital Expert, I'm totally cool with giving you that. We're about to fully push that too. I had to step back and I've got to shoot all the content with it. With that case, it wouldn't be in a play where it's like we did it, where it's like a retainer-based thing. It would probably be more of like a CPA-based thing, where it's like you're learning, we're spending, we're both coming to an agreement. It's like if we hit these numbers, you get paid, and then kind of optimize based on that. And then after that, once you're confident in scaling, we can talk about retainer-based stuff. So at least that way you're spending somebody else's dollars to get your education. That's kind of on the digital expert side. But on the agency side, if you're keen for something there, I'd say another 3 to 4 clients, if I sell in the next month, our guys are going to hit capacity. That's the immediate fix. I know Matt's brought it up to my concern a couple of times, so I don't see this being a long-term thing. It's just figuring out what accounts we want to bring on. I'm very picky too on clients that I do sell. If I can't tell that they have a growth capability, I will not take them on. All right, buddy. Good chat.
Yeah, good chat with you too. I appreciate it. Just let me know. I look forward to it.
Cheers. So that's a media buyer that we've, funny enough, a lot of the times, because of the type of clients that we get to work with, when we get into working with our clients, they already have a media buyer, or they already have a team, or account manager, or whatever. We come in to help them scale. And then when we come in to help them scale, the guys that are working, it starts off in a very interesting relationship because they look at us like a threat, and I can see that why. It's like if I was in that situation, I would be the same way. We ended up building a relationship like we did with this fine gentleman. You know, it gets to a point where it's like they see the knowledge and the value that we can bring to them. When we do that and we bring this knowledge and value to them, they eventually end up asking if they can come work with us. Because a lot of the times the mentality is like, you know, money drives a lot of the factor, but it's also knowledge and growth, which is us as internal human beings that want to grow, and that's what they see as value. And as a lot of you guys have seen since the beginning of this vlog, it's like, yeah, we run some pretty epic clients, we run some pretty epic business, but volume of business in comparison to a lot of other agencies just isn't what we do. That's where we attract this kind of talent. That's kind of how I end up in a situation where they'll start off where they don't really like us because we're coming to potentially take their job away from them, and then come back to a conversation where they now want to come work for us. So it goes full 180, and this ties into the first call that I had today was with the client side. And it just kind of comes down to that. So if you can understand human psychology and how to work with it, people are there to serve you, not just work against you. Is there the percentage of people that would be there to work against you? Absolutely. We've all been there. We've all seen it. 99% of fucking humanity will be there to have your back as long as you have theirs. So that was that call. It's going to be a fun one because obviously with growth and everything else going into the company, having him as a backup is going to be potentially a huge one for us.
Now, because of that book, I'm making people bring up 2. So you have to come with 2 problems that you could potentially see arising, because by default everybody would just kind of be like, no problems, everything's great. So now I have a requirement that you have to name at least 2, and then you basically classify them if they are the problem or if they're a symptom of another problem, because sometimes they're not problems, they're actually symptoms of other problems happening. And just to be able to identify if it's a symptom or an actual problem itself. And I've already got a bunch of really good insight on that I didn't know about, where I was like, holy crap. Another quote from the book was just like, mushrooms grow in the dark like problems. If you don't shine any light on them, it's going to keep growing. But if you actually focus on them, even if you don't do something right away, they will get solved because at least the team is thinking of them.
No, man, that's a great... I don't know, which book was this particularly from? Was this from the Simple one?
No, that was from Traction.
Okay, that's a great thing, man. That's a really good concept. Yeah.
Like, from my side, we're crushing it. These next couple months with this new method that I have, it's going to go crazy, and we're already seeing the results. So, like, and even Facebook is taking note on the results. So I'm just going to keep doing that, keep testing. Like I said, your account was really a guinea pig for us. We've already found some gems, so traffic's taken care of. That was with Fotsy. He's pumped. He emailed a affiliate, and he's basically like, dude, your traffic is going crazy. And the affiliate emailed him back and was like, dude, I haven't sent an email yet. And Brett's like, okay, then why is there such an uplift in the business? And it's a new method that I've been using on his account. It's like literally 5 times the revenue. And he said he's hitting record numbers every single day now. So he's crushing it. And even Facebook wants to do a case study on it because they're fully behind it. They saw the numbers and they're just blown away. Because normally we'll get good profit for them, but not like... We'll get, 2x profit. Now we're at 5x and 6x and 7x profit at higher spends. It's like a new traffic hack to some extent, but it makes sense. I haven't coined a phrase for it yet, but I'm sure we're going to give it some kind of grow rev name, and I'll be taking full credit for it.
Content, C-level, director, VPs, DVPs in our subject, depending on the summit.
Normally the biggest pain with LinkedIn is just your cost per click. Typically, it's like the lowest you can even set the bid to is kind of the $6 mark. And then normally, depending on who you're targeting, you're kind of upwards of that $10 to $15 mark. We have that just with our different ways of targeting and knowing how to set it up so we do the lowest possible bid. Also, we come with creative teams too, which a lot of companies find very useful because they can be stressed for graphic design, etc. So we pretty much are full service, and we'll even make landing pages if required. We already know what works on LinkedIn, and we pay for lots of training, and plus I've done lots of just exploring around myself to make sure we get the best cost. So just knowing stuff like that, and then we have some copywriters too on our end that can just make the ads better. So it's like those 20-30% improvements just really make a big difference, we find. We also do quite a bit of retargeting across all the platforms and make sure that's all set up and working properly.
And then we do a percentage of ad spend after 10% of spend. A lot of it includes pretty much anything on the front end of your marketing. We will fully take care of it. So that means all your creatives, all your videos, as long as you get us the raw assets, all the copy, obviously everything approved by you before anything goes live. Multi-network that opens you up to unlimited networks. There's no limit. One of our clients right now we're running on is at 11 different networks currently. Some obviously you may have heard of, some you haven't, and that's $10,000 a month plus 10% of ad spend after $10,000 in spend. Once again, it's the same thing. We take care of all of your front end for all those networks.
Does it make sense to go into contract with you guys, or to hire 3 or 4 junior people that just pound the pavement and figure it out?
No, that's totally fair, and I totally respect that, absolutely. And our goal would be to come in and be as part of your internal team as we can, and we're very, very hands-on in terms of communication. So we try to make our clients feel not like we're an external arm, but more of an internal arm just added to. Either way, once you guys make a decision or have any questions, just respond back, yay or nay, no hard feelings. Ideally, we'd love to get this, see if this is something that we can work together.
I appreciate you guys taking the time. Look forward to seeing all the materials.
Likewise, have a great rest of your day. Chat soon.
All right, thanks, guys. You too.
Cheers.
All right, thanks. Bye.
Well, if you haven't seen my calendar already, insert calendar here, because that's pretty much back to back to back. As you'll see, there's literally 1 hour there where I had to literally put in, you're going to need another coffee, because that's how many calls I'm on today. That being said, that call was, as most of you guys remember or have seen in the previous season of the vlogs, where a lot of what we do is event-based, hence the reason a lot of the travel. We've got a ton coming up. There's events going on right now that I should be at, but I'm not at because of personal commitments, which is totally cool. Sometimes you gotta sacrifice things to build on certain things. But that being said, working towards Q2 and Q3 right now, laying the foundation, getting ready for scaling these event clients that we've been working with outside of the other niches. So this one was an interesting one because they have events all over the world. Majority of it in the US and India, but they've also got stuff in like Europe, they've got stuff in Brazil, which we're very familiar with, and we've done events all over Asia, we've done events all over Europe. So this is something where, when we're on that call, obviously we're only going to put in parts of that call because it's a cybersecurity event. One, two, to also make sure that we cover our ass on what we're saying and making sure that we give the client some privacy there. But to give you some context, we want to be able to help them, and they reached out to us through one of our outreach programs that we do with the agency, which, if you're running an agency right now and you're not running cold outreach, trust me, you want to be doing cold outreach. The first entire context and content of this entire agency that I built came 100% from cold outreach. Like literally every single day I was hitting 150, if not more, emails and or LinkedIn messages reaching out to types of clients I wanted to work with, and was able to scale the company. And since then we've just added massive fuel to fire. That being said, going into the next call is with another lead that came in. So this lead came in through our cold outreach. The next lead that I have a call within an hour from now, because we're gonna be doing the TikTok course launch in about 30 minutes, which if you haven't already seen TikTok course launch, you're missing out on. In an hour from now, that lead came in through paid advertising. So when we say we're multifaceted in terms of when we want to scale for our clients, we're using the same approach internally. So whenever I pitch something to a client or I share something to a client, I'm not going to share something to them that I'm not doing myself. We've got cold outreach, we've got paid advertising on Facebook, we've got paid advertising on LinkedIn, we're about to launch YouTube. We already have YouTube in the other companies that we're doing, but for Grora, we're about to launch YouTube. So it's like a lot of what we want to do is be able to build the company, build the team, and empower everybody else by doing the same thing, so they can see that, just because we do things for others, we don't not do it for ourselves. And then we've got a referral call, which is one of the biggest mistakes that most people make in the agency world is they don't put that time and effort into referrals. But what I'll do is I'll touch base on the referral side, and I've already ranted on this for a decent amount of time. I'll touch base on the referral call, post-referral call. You guys can sit and listen to who I'm going to end up talking to in a couple hours there, and why I think it's the number one skill set, networking. I think I did a video, and I'm pretty sure you can click right here, and I'll kind of touch base on that after the next few calls.
If you actually have a mild personality, you shine through so well. And people who don't are so reliant on their team to just trade their personality. Like, right? I think like you actually are interesting, Rohan. Like you're actually pretty funny. Like you have a good personality. You're like unique in like how you look and how you present yourself. So it's like that's just easy. You know what I mean? Like it's like a no-brainer in a way. Like why the fuck wouldn't you go to like kill it?
Okay, well, two things.
Like other guys.
Two things. One, take a look at the folder I just sent that Miguel's edited.
Right.
And
it's Rohan 1.0, right?
Yeah, it's Rohan 1.0. And no, it's on Slack. It's in the chat of the Zoom call. And then part 2 of it is Migs is here now too. So let's figure out what else we need to shoot so we can get this done. And can you be posting every day if we give you content every day? Like actually commit to it and not just be a head and go disappear on me for 3 days at a time?
Well, here's the thing though. If I post on it, whoever starts posting on it has to keep posting on that phone, that device. It can't change. Like you kind of can, but you can't because TikTok's really meant for like individual. It's not so much yet meant now.
Okay, well then I'll post on it, but then you gotta tell me what I need to do and like tags and all that other shit. I don't give a fuck.
So whether it's you, Miguel, me, whoever, it just has to be that person and that phone. You can switch it every now and then, but ideally you don't because.
Is there any specifics you want us to shoot today?
Yeah, I can definitely come up with a few for sure.
Okay, we don't have a lot of people in the office today, but so anything you want us to do, make sure.
But that's the thing though, like you don't even need production.
Obviously, the last time I posted those ones on private, I gotta go back and delete them.
So when you're shooting them, by the way, if you want to show me what they look like, save them as drafts, and then record your actual phone, and then go watch them, and then just send me the recording of what you watched on TikTok. Don't ever post them. So ideally, early on, you want to shoot it in the actual app itself because it goes through AI checks and manual checks. It has to first immediately start figuring out what's in this video because you're kind of at risk. Where when you're shooting it in real time on the actual app, it starts to like already start seeing the frame by frame of like what's in the image. Is there a boob? Is there a butt? Is there blood or whatever? Or like violence or whatever. So it's kind of like you do have that advantage where you don't have to go through so many system checks to figure out what your content is and if it's even validated or violating the terms of service. Now, you don't have to all the time, obviously, because a lot of people don't do it, but it's just like good practice early on to try to shoot it in the app as much as possible so that you can avoid more manual checks or the AI checks. Because you're taking it outside of it, you're adding text outside of it, it's going to have to check more of that text.
Okay.
So it's going to see if you have the word like cunt or something like that, you know? So it's like you're just making the system work a little bit harder towards figuring out what the fuck your content is versus not. I don't know how much you use the actual app, but you can actually time things pretty fucking good inside the app in the actual like camera that's built into the TikTok. The other thing though you lose out on is that sometimes you'll add like hashtags or keywords that's in the text itself that you add into the caption. So if you put like how to make $1 million in your video caption, that text is like separated from the actual video file when you're uploaded. So it's just like word data that they can gather to see what's in those actual captions itself. Where if you embed it in Adobe Premiere or Final Cut and then you upload it, you're losing out on that like extra bit of text that would be ran through the system and kind of like calculated and figuring out what you're talking about.
Gotcha.
The other thing too is that you might have effects that you're adding where you have like a crazy blur or glitch effect. Ideally, you want to do that on TikTok.
Gotcha. So ideally, we shoot it on the device. Like, do you have any extra phones or anything? Like maybe we could make that a dedicated. No, like I'm talking to Rohan, so we can make that a dedicated one because when we do shoot and then I add all the text, like I would need the phone for a little while to be uploading all the text, or just like a cheap one.
Use your old phone for TikTok.
Well, my old phone, the one that my old 10, I gotta give Dave around it today.
For whatever stupid fucking reason, when you try to sync up things on the droids, they don't sync that well.
Fuck you and your fucking droid, Matt. I'm buying another iPhone 11 Pro to shoot content.
That'd actually be funny. You like TikTok problems. You're addicted to TikTok when you go buy a whole new phone just for TikTok.
Any other course we see.
And I'll deal with the sales side of everything as well. So it's like I'll deal with the sales team and everything else. All you have to do is get me fucking content. That is it.
I don't have a problem with getting content. That's.
And don't go MIA on me, or I'm going to fucking send someone to your house.
Nah, fuck all
I
that.
can't fly right now because his wife's very pregnant, so it's gonna be me.
Yeah. I need this TikTok money, okay? I need you to fucking get this course done so I can just pay for a kid.
Yeah, he's got 2 weeks and he's
Alright,
getting
boys,
anything, bro.
let's disperse and make TikTok money.
Then what I want to do is turn the time over to Samantha, and we'll go through kind of some action items. I'd like everybody to kind of think about, why we're going through this as far as action items, as far as what we would need to be able to on. Want to make sure we do it right. So, if everybody could be thinking about that, we definitely want to talk about that today. There are weeds on different things today.
Also, an investor in the operation, really excited about what we can do.
In the acquisition and integration of Thinkorswim, and also very involved in its development direction while I was there. Also built out another platform called Trade Architect while we were there.
My name is Rohan, CEO and co-founder of Grow Up Marketing. We've been filling events since 2015 for some of the big guys. The last run was with just prior to Response, and then we also worked in consulting with Zurich, Robert Allen, those guys.
I've worked with a lot of large events before working with Rohan, like the Olympics, Premier Boxing Champions, ICC Cricket, ATP Tennis, so just lots of event experience there. Currently, we're spending around $3 million a month just advertising events.
Well, it's the end of this crazy friggin' day of mine. Actually, no, I got one more call. It's not the end of the day yet. I can't believe I got one call still. But as the last couple of calls you saw, that call was with a new event company that we're going to be helping scale, starting with US, Canada, and eventually international, like we've done for a lot of our event companies that we've worked with in the past. So what that was pretty much the entire team coming together, like you get to call it the dream team that he's put together to scale this. They're highly funded. The guys that are behind this company have invested in Hyperloop and Shopify and Uber, some big Silicon Valley companies. So we really need to make sure that this one we nail out the park, especially knowing what's at stake, not only for the guy that's running the company, for the investors, and for everybody else. But this vlog has been a lot of behind the scenes, and I hope you guys like the behind the scenes, because it kind of went out and showed you guys, I think, from client issues to epic client launches to sales with cold leads, paid leads, and everything in between. So we're gonna wrap this one here, and we're gonna start the new one tomorrow. So if you enjoy this video, do me a favor, give this video a thumbs up, because it needs 2 thumbs ups for the amount of behind the scenes info you have seen in this vlog. What did you learn the most out of it? And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.